Hey guys, so welcome back to another video. So today we are continuing the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, chapter 4, the Boscombe Valley Mystery, part 2. So last time we stopped till here, so let's continue. The two McCarthys were then spotted by a 14-year-old girl, Patience Moran. She claims to have seen the father and son involved in a heated argument. She heard the elder Miss Carthy used very bad language with his son, and she also saw the son raise his hand as if to strike him. She was frightened that she quickly ran to her mother and told her about it. She had just spoken the words when Mr. Carthy came rushing in asking for help. He said he had found his father dead in the woods. When the police followed him, he found the old man dead and his head was beaten by some blunt object. The son was arrested for murder of his father. I told Sherlock that this was a very damning case. I knew he didn't believe in circumstantial evidence, but in this case it was quite overbearing. Sherlock agreed that the odds were stacked against you, young Miss McCarthy, and that he could indeed be the killer. However, there are few people who believe his innocence, and have requested Officer Lesrard to stay back and investigate the case, who in turn asked me to look into it. He said, Mr. Turner too believes that the boy is innocent. He added, I am afraid that all facts are against the boy, and if you take on this case you will gain little credit, I told Sherlock. Sherlock stated that sometimes obvious facts are deceptive and mislead us. He may find something that the police will not be able, as he had an eye for such details. He said that there was a couple of minor points that were brought up in the inquest. The arrest of the suspect wasn't immediate. He was informed of his arrest only after he returned to his house. Also, the young man had kept quiet and said that he had expected this, which increased everyone's suspicion about him. I asked Sherlock what the young man had to say on the matter, and whether he had confessed to the crime. Sherlock answered that he had claimed innocence, but he realizes that his claims do not instill confidence and support us. However innocent the boy was, he should have understood that everything was against him. Had he been surprised at his arrest, or pretended to be an what is that word? Indignant. Okay, if you know what's that word, please comment below. It would have been suspicious, but his acceptance of the fact showed either he was innocent or a man with self-resistant. To Sherlock, he seemed to have a healthy mind rather than a guilty one. I said that many people had been punished with lesser evidence. Sherlock went through some papers and he handed me a newspaper, pointed to a paragraph and asked me to read. It was Mr. James McCarthy's statement. and it read as follows. I had been away from home at Bristol for the past 3 days, and I had just returned home on Monday morning. That is, on the 3rd. I couldn't find my father when I arrived. I was told he had gone out for breakfast. Shortly after my arrival, I heard him get out of his car and saw him walk out of the yard from my window, but I did not see which direction he was going. After a while, I took my gun and left forward to Boscombe pool, hoping to hunt a few rabbits. When I was about 100 yards from the pool, I heard a koi, which was the signal that me and my father often used in emergencies. I hurried towards the sound and found my father in the pool. He was shocked to see me and very rudely asked me to leave. We had a fight and angrily stormed away. But after a few minutes, I heard a loud cry of pain and ran back to find my father dying. He was mumbling something, but all I could hear was the word rat. Also, I think there was something on the grass when I entered clearing, but it vanished when I had my back towards it. The coroner then asked me to bring about the argument that he had with his father, but the young man refused to say anything about it, even when he was threatened with the consequences. He refused to say anything. After reading this, I got the feeling that coroner had been very harsh with the boy. We finally arrived at our destination little after 4 p.m. Lestrade was waiting for us and he drove us to Hereford Arms, where he had reserved a room for us. We sat for a cup of tea and Lestrade told me he had a carriage ready for us. As he knew Sherlock would want to see the crime scene as soon as possible, Sherlock, however, said that he will not be using the carriage that day. It is because there were no clouds in the sky and no chances of rain, and therefore no chances of evidence getting washed away. Leicester took this as an indication and that Sherlock had already formed an opinion about the case. Leicester commented that the case was very simple and the more you looked into it, the plainer it becomes. Even he believed that it was an open and shut case, but he could not say so to Miss Turner, who wanted Sherlock to look into the case. A young girl rushed into the room looking excited and concerned. Her eyes danced around the room till they landed on Sherlock. She then rushed towards us and greeted him. "I'm so glad that you came, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I came here to tell you that I know James McCarthy did not kill his father. I grew up with him. I know him better than anyone else, and I know that he could never do such a thing. You have to clear his name, Mr. Holmes. I beg you." Lestrade told me that the young lady was Miss Turner, the daughter of Mr. Turner. Sherlock assured her that he would do all that he can to help her friend, James McCarthy. Lestrade asked Sherlock, "But you have read the evidence. Do you think the boy is innocent?" "I think it is likely that he is innocent," Sherlock replied. Miss Turner's face lit up with joy when she heard and thanked Sherlock for giving her hope. "I know the reason for the quarrel was also James did not mention it to the coroner," said the girl. She continued, "Mr. McCarthy wanted James to marry me, but we loved each other as brother and sister. James did not want this marriage." Sherlock thanked her for the information and asked her, "Did your father approve for the marriage?" No, only McCarthy wanted it. Sherlock asked her if he could visit her father. She informed him that it wasn't possible as Mr. Turner was very sick and the doctor had confined him to his bed. She informed us that her father has been ill for a long time and Mr. McCarthy's murder had broken him further. So that's it for chapter 4, Boscombe Valley Mystery. I will see you in the part 3 of chapter 4. That's it for part 2. See you in the next video. Bye.